I think a lot of us, we say that we want to change. We say that we want to heal. We say that we want to grow, right? But are we really willing to pay the price that is necessary to have the kind of change that we desire in our lives, right? And when I say pay the price, I am not talking necessarily financially, right? When I say pay the price, what I mean is, are you willing and are you ready to let go of the people who keep you in a cycle of hating yourself and hating your life? Are you willing to let go of that toxic relationship? Are you willing to let go of certain habits, certain beliefs, certain thought patterns that you keep holding on to, or certain old stories that you keep telling yourself, right? Are you ready and willing to let go of your need for comfort? Or are you willing to do the things that you need to do in order for you to live the life that you want to live? Are you willing to pay the price for the change that you desire? Or are you going to keep choosing comfort over expansion? That is what I mean when I say, are you willing to pay the price? See, when it comes on to life, my good people, right? You can't have something for nothing. You can't walk into a grocery store, right? And just pick up some food items and walk out, right? You have to go in the store, pick up the items that you need, and then you exchange something, which is money, that is deemed to be less valuable, with something that you deem to be more valuable, which is the food, right? Because you need that food to survive, right? And so when it comes on to life, you can't say that you want growth, but then you will still hold on to comfort. You can't say that you want growth, but you still hold on to your pride and your ego. You can't say you want to heal, or you can't say you want something healthy in your life, but you still hold on to that toxic person, that toxic relationship, right? That person that keeps you in a cycle of hating yourself, right? You can't say you want success, but you're not willing to do the things that is required to have the success that you desire, right? You can't have something for nothing. Everything comes at a price, right? And a lot of us, we say that we want change. We say that we want to heal. We say that we want to grow. But we're really not willing to pay the price that is necessary to have those things. We really aren't. Right? See, I'm going to ask you, a very important question, right? And this is probably one of the most important questions that someone could ever ask you. Or better yet, this is one of the most important questions that you could even ask yourself, right? And that question is, what are you willing to sacrifice? Who are you willing to sacrifice? Who and what are you willing to sacrifice in order for you to become that better version of yourself? Who and what are you willing to sacrifice in order for you to step into that new stage of your life that you desire? What and who are you willing to sacrifice? Right? Because that next stage in your life, that new version of yourself, it requires a sacrifice. Right? You have to look at your life right now. Really look at your life. And not only look at your life, but look at yourself. Look within yourself. And you have to identify the habits, the beliefs, the thought patterns, the stories that you keep telling yourself, right? You have to identify the people in your life who are toxic. You have to identify the uncomfortable things that you're running away from. You have to identify all of that. And you have to ask yourself, am I willing to let these things go and let these people go? Am I willing to sacrifice these things and sacrifice these people in order for me to have the life that I desire, or in order for me to become the person that I desire? Am I ready to sacrifice? That is a question that you have to ask yourself. Am I ready to sacrifice? Right? You have to ask yourself that question. And don't get me wrong, right? When it comes on to change, when it comes on to healing, when it comes on to growth and even letting go, right? These things are very uncomfortable, right? They are very uncomfortable. But what I've come to realize and truly recognize about life is that the cost of staying the same, the cost of holding on to comfort, the cost of holding on to certain people, it is much more expensive and it is much more painful than letting go. The cost of holding on to comfort, the cost of holding on to what is keeping you back, it is much more costly than letting go, because those things are going to cost you your life. I'm gonna say that again. The cost of holding on to comfort, the cost of holding on to certain people, it is much more costly and much more painful than letting go, because those things are going to cost you your life. Right? In 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, you are going to look back at your life and you are going to realize just how much time you've wasted by holding on to these things. And once you recognize just how much of your life you wasted by holding on to these things, by holding on to these habits, by holding on to these toxic people and toxic relationships, right? You are going to fall into a deep state of regret. You're going to beat yourself up. You're going to ask yourself, how could I be this big of a fool? And by then, so much of your life is going to already pass you by. And that regret, the regret of recognizing just how much the things that you keep holding on to cost you, that regret is second to none. That feeling of regret is second to no feeling that you can possibly experience. Right? And obviously, I'm not saying this to even scare you. Right? I'm not saying this for you to live in regret and remorse, right? And in negativity and self-loathing and self-judgment. I'm not saying this for you to be in these states, right? I'm really saying this so that you can wake up. I'm saying this so that you can recognize the urgency, right? I'm saying this so you can recognize and truly reflect and introspect and look at your life and really make the change that your life needs. Really make the change that you need, right? That's what I'm truly saying. Right? That's what I'm truly saying. I think now more than ever, our life needs us. I think we live in a world that is sort of is unique in the sense that we have all these different innovations, different technologies, right? Things are just crazy at this point in our lives, right? And I think despite all this advancement in technology, despite the world being so close, we are so disconnected from ourselves, right? A lot of us, we don't even know what direction our life is going in, right? A lot of us are confused. A lot of us feel empty. A lot of our lives feel meaningless. And a lot of that has to do with the things or the cages that we're so afraid of leaving. A lot of it has to do with our need for comfort. One of the biggest problems we have in this world as people is our need for comfort. And maybe our civilization being so modernized and there's so many advancements in technology, so on and so forth, maybe that has a big deal, to do with our comfort or us being in our comfort zone. But at the end of the day, comfort isn't serving any one of us. Like I said in my previous video, our comfort zone is a place for dead people. It is a cemetery. It is a graveyard, right? And you have to be willing to give up your comfort zone, give up your need for comfort, giving up what's familiar, in order for you to have the change, the healing, and the growth that you desire in your life, right? You have to be willing to sacrifice something, because everything comes at a cost, right? The relationship that you want, it is going to come at a cost. It is going to come at the cost of you letting go of probably multiple relationships, multiple people who are not in alignment with you. The success that you desire, it is going to come at the sacrifice of time, sacrifice of consistency, sacrifice of you keep showing up and having faith in yourself, truly believing in yourself, right? The success that you desire, the life that you desire, it is going to come at that cost, right? Your ability to love yourself, it is going to come at the cost of you being open to change, being open to abandoning or letting go of certain thought patterns, certain habits, certain, negative beliefs that you keep holding on to, or certain stories that you keep telling yourself, right? Everything that you desire in this life comes at a cost. And you have to be willing to pay that price. You have to be willing to let go of things when they no longer serve you, right? A lot of us are trying to thrive with survival mechanisms, right? And what I mean by that is, a lot of us are trying to live a life that is fruitful. A lot of us are trying to live a life that is abundant, but yet we still are holding on to the habits, the beliefs, thought patterns, so on and so forth, that we picked up during the survival stages of our lives. And it doesn't work like that. The same mechanism that served you in survival isn't going to serve you in abundance, isn't going to allow you to live an abundant life. And even those things, you have to be willing to sacrifice. You have to be willing to let them go, right? You have to. At the end of the day, everything comes at a price. Right? The new life that you desire is going to cost you your old one. It's going to cost you your old life. The new identity that you desire is going to cost you your old identity. The new relationship that you desire is going to cost you the one that you keep holding on to. Everything comes at a price. But you have to look at yourself. You have to sit with yourself. And you have to ask yourself, am I really willing to pay the price? Am I willing to let go? Am I willing to sacrifice? Or am I gonna keep choosing comfort over expansion? Am I going to keep choosing pain over healing? Am I going to keep comfort over growth? You have to be willing to ask yourself these very hard questions. And once you ask yourself these questions, you have to choose the change that you want to see in your life before your life can change. You have to choose change before change can choose you. But at the end of the day, the cost of holding on to comfort, the cost of holding on to toxicity, right? The cost of holding on to what no longer serves you is much more painful and much more costly, right? Than letting go. Much more painful and much more costly. It is going to cost you your life. And you didn't come into this world to constantly experience scarcity. You didn't come into this world to constantly experience toxicity. You didn't come into this world to constantly doubt yourself and despise yourself, right? And hate yourself. You came into this world to step into your self-love, to remember your self-love. You came into this world to live a life that is abundant. You came into this world to grow. You came into this world to live the life that you want to live and to give your best, give your gifts to the world. That is what you came into this life for. But you will never have the life that you desire. You will never remember who you are because it is a remembrance. And you will never become the person that you were meant to become if you keep holding on to what no longer serves you. And if you keep holding on to the familiar. If you keep holding on to comfort, right? These things are going to rob you of your life. Little by little, your life is going to be stolen away from you. If you're not willing to pay the price that is necessary for the life that you desire, right? You have to be willing to sacrifice something. You have to be willing to pay the price. Because at the end of the day, like I've said 1,000 times in this video, everything comes at a cost. Absolutely everything comes at a cost. Peace and blessings.